Hi everyone, I'm back. And this time I'm back with our 6-week check-in. So we're just finishing the 6th week of our new school year. So I just have to say that it's been going really, really, really well. Like better than I could have even thought. Although I did have a feeling it would go well because I spent so much time last year really perfecting and weeding through what was working and what was not working. And so at this point we've kind of got to a really good flow in what I know they're happy doing and what also works for me and my schedule. So we're having a great year so far. I just want to quickly come on here and let you know just a quick update on each subject and what we've worked through and what we're moving into. And so, this one will be for my son who is in 5th grade. And then hopefully I'll come out with my daughter's 4th grade one and then my youngest daughter's 2nd grade one. Hopefully I'll do those separately. That's my goal. Last video, I kind of smashed them together, which was also fine. But my goal is to do it separately on grade. So let's talk about my son, starting with just our miscellaneous subjects. So for Bible, we've just been doing, as I usually say, random YouTube videos, random study, just one-off studies of things that come up. That's great. But I have a Obey study, and I'm sorry, I cannot think of the name of this company, but it's a very, very well-known company that I constantly see on everyone's YouTubes, and I've had these studies for so long, and it's called the Obey study, and they each have their own little workbooks. And so I had noticed that the very first lesson mentioned 9/11 and what happened September 11th all those years ago. And so I thought it would be the perfect time to 2 days ago start that, just based on it being the anniversary of that event. So we started that a couple days ago. I'll have to let you know in a few weeks how that's going. It's about 20 different lessons and we're only on the 2nd one. So that is that. He's still doing his summer bridge workbook, about 1 to 2 worksheets every morning. If you watched his video before we started the year, you know that he hadn't finished during the summer. And so that was just going to be his morning time worksheet to do. He's still doing easy peasy for English and math, and also computer, and also he does the PE subject on that. So he does that every day. That's always a really great one, really easy. He just signs on and clicks through all his things and checks it off. So that works out well all the time. In his last video, I had mentioned that I'm looking for a course for him to start learning, how to post on YouTube, how to edit videos, how to graphic design, to make thumbnails and things like that. And so in the last 5 or 6 weeks, I've come across a company called Udemy. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but it's spelled Udemy. I'm sorry. So I say Udemy. I don't know. Anyways, they had a video course available to learn how to use Adobe Premiere, which is part of the Cloud series, and it's just an editing tool. And so he's working through that. I'll admit he hasn't started that much. I think he looked at it one day last week, but it's just been kind of pushed to the side because this week's been crazy. But he is scheduled to get a move on that. He's still just constantly uploading to his YouTube, though. He does live streams, and I told him that I would post his YouTube handle here. So I'll post that here if your kids love gaming and YouTube and whatever, and they want to go and visit his site. That would be really great for him. Okay, so that is just his miscellaneous, like, elective type stuff. Let's move into math, which is going great. Of course, it's his easy subject. He's really good at math. He's doing the good and the beautiful mental math. He's not even kidding. He probably has like 10 more lessons in the 4th level of the mental math. And then I'm about to order him the 5th level. So he loves that. That's an easy one to do. He's doing great with his IXL and Evan Moore workbooks that I've talked to you about in the last video. And guys, if you go back to the last video, I'll talk more in depth about each of these things. But because today I'm assuming a lot of you have watched that last video, I just want to quickly say, you know, we're working through this and it's still working good. And this is, yeah, we're really happy with these. It's been an easy thing for him to finish every day. He works on the wrap-ups, which I'm not sure if I talked about this in the last video, but I have talked about it in videos before. He uses the wrap-ups just to strengthen his multiplication and division memorization, and those are always fun. It's like a quick 5 to 10 minute thing that he does maybe once to twice a week, and so those are great. And then, of course, he goes on Khan Academy, probably like 1 to 2 lessons a day, and follows through with like the 5th grade course that they lay out for him. So math is always just great and easy. Let's talk about science. So we've done, I want to say 2 to 3 of Generation Genius videos this year. So it's been, we're in the 6th week. So that means we've done intentional science 3 times. Science is not our big subject, although my kids love science. I don't usually plan it out. It comes about more organically with, you know, nature studies, and if we're learning something in history or whatever and it goes off into some tangent that I can bring science into it, I like to do that. Like, for example, just yesterday we were talking about Captain James Cook in history and about how he explored the Pacific. And so, you know, he wanted to explore the Great Barrier Reef and the area around Australia. So we kind of went off on a tangent and just looked up some YouTube videos about the Great Barrier Reef. And so we learned about, you know, the coral that grows there and the environment and things like that. So that is an example of how I do science. I don't usually bring in like a full curriculum. I just let it happen with whatever we're discussing. But of course, because this year he's now back in his charter school and he does have to hit his standard checklist, I'm starting to get a little stressed about like, okay, is this going to end up a problem if I'm not like specifically doing science every day? So I am looking into more things to add. Like I have my eye on some Bookshark books and just using literature to, again, just add in the science that he needs to hit for his 5th grade California standards. So science is fun, is great. They love science. We watch, you know, Mad Max, and is it Mad Max? No, it's Science Max. Mad Max is something completely different. But yeah, they just love things like that, like watching experiments or doing experiments. And yeah, it just comes about really organically, which works for me. Let's talk about history. So we spent a few weeks finishing out the Pocahontas and William Bradford books. That was slow going, but we watch World Watch News daily. And so they get a little bit of like modern history every day. And then we're finally moving back into the Winter Promise. And so, like I said yesterday, we were talking about Captain James Cook. I think we're moving into, you know, during the age of exploration and the slavery of other countries, which isn't just U.S. history. But, you know, we haven't hit on the Civil War really big yet, and that'll come down the line because we're not even close to being in that era yet. But prior to the Civil War, there was already slavery going on, you know, in the Muslim areas and things like that. So we're going to be touching on that this week. I have a couple books, or at least one book laid out that we'll go into that. I use a lot of literature for history as well, and not so much, worksheets and filling in the blanks and stuff. We just like to read books and talk about it and discuss, and we do that as a family. We're still chugging through the U.S. geography. We're more than halfway through the United States, focusing on each state. And I think our last state that we did was like Minnesota. So we're like Central America, and we're going to be, finishing off. We've done most of the eastern side of the country, and then I think the west is going to be the last side that we have to touch after we complete Central. I will admit that I have lost my Truth Quest book, which I use as a resource to help me find the really great literature that we do for history. So right now that is on pause until I find that book. I have looked really everywhere that I can think of. It's just absolutely disappeared, and I'm so worried that I might have returned it with a library haul or something on accident, and I hope that's not the case and that it shows up soon. But until I can find that, I'm using just The Winter's Promise as our main resource right now, and pulling in whatever comes along the way through that. That's history. That goes well. History is my favorite personally, so I just love to sit with my kids and talk about history and stuff. Last subject is English. So he started off the year doing The Good and the Beautiful. He only does it 3 days a week though. So he does one lesson 3 days a week. He is not loving it. He is having a very hard time with the reading selection. And I'll admit that I'm also having a hard time with it. It's not attention grabbing for us. And, so he is on, I want to say like between lesson 15 to 20 so far. And he's still finishing a book called Chico and the Andes. I'm going to have him finish out the lessons, which I think I looked ahead and it looks like about to lesson 22 will be the last lesson that pertains like any type of questions or writing that has to do with Chico and the Andes. So I'm making him finish the book, even though we're both not like super impressed with the book. We're going to finish it. We're not going to give up on it, and we're going to see if our mind will be changed by the end of it. But like I said, he's pretty much more than halfway through it, and he's just never enjoyed reading it. So after that, we're going to give Blossom and Root level 5 a try. I like that they have some other reading selections. I like that it's very Charlotte Mason-esque, so a lot of dictation, a lot of copy work, which I like because he doesn't realize that it's handwriting practice, but he always needs handwriting practice. He is my kid who just wants to fly through things, and he doesn't care if it's sloppy. So I love copy work and dictation because it gives me a chance to say, okay, this is the writing that you have to really make look nice for me and stuff. So we'll see how that goes. I'll let you know later on. But yeah, we're switching from The Good and the Beautiful to Blossom and Root very soon. I also purchased Write Shop Junior as a more writing resource, because the thing I like about The Good and the Beautiful is that they do a lot of writing assignments. And I was worried that switching from that, he would lose some of it. So I came across Write Shop Junior. I've heard good things. My sister even confirmed that my nephew, who is almost through high school, used it just a couple years back and really enjoyed the high school level. So I'm hoping that this will be a hit and he can just continue this through middle school and high school even. So again, I'll keep you updated on Write Shop Junior. So with the Michael Clay Thompson Island level, and I probably said Grammar Island, it's all the same thing. He's working through Practice Island, and then we're going to be starting the Mud Trilogy soon. And then once that's complete, then he'll move into the next level. And I can't say enough good things about Michael Clay Thompson all the time. I've yet to find any other resource that has solidified his knowledge in how to identify parts of speech than with this program. And it's actually astonishing how well he can identify parts of speech, and also how well it's helping him in his sentence structure to really get that, going and making sentences that are much more complex. So I love Michael Clay Thompson, and we will definitely continue that. I talked about his dictionary of spelling. I did not think it would be as successful as it is. He just loves that. He loves just spelling out loud, spelling words, and that's all we do for spelling. He's a really strong speller, but we have come across words that he didn't know, so it's just a fun thing. We like doing the dictionary of spelling. We do it 1 to 2 times a week. I already talked about how he does handwriting a lot with the copy work and the dictations, but he also works through a reason for handwriting just for his cursive practice, probably like once a week. If that, I just throw it in when I feel like it was a light load that day, and I'm like, okay, today's a good cursive day, so let's get that done. He hates it, but he does it, and it works out well. I like a reason for handwriting because all of his passages and sentences that he's copying are Bible based, a lot of scripture. So that just gives me a really good feeling to know that he's constantly reading and rewriting those scriptures. What we haven't done that I did talk about in his last video is we haven't done his word of the day dictionary, and mainly that's because I was borrowing it from the library, and I just haven't made the time to borrow it again, and because he's been enjoying the dictionary of spelling so much, and so we talk about vocabulary words and that, I just haven't added the word of the day by Merriam-Webster back in, but again, that was always a hit. We just haven't done it. He's not done the Write It Out Level C. It was already something me and him didn't love. So I think we're just going to nix that all together because I just already know we're not going to move into the next level. And I think that I'm finding other writing resources that are far, far more enjoyable than the Write It Out series. So he has not done that. He still does his Evan Moore real world writing, but I'll be honest and say he's probably only done it about 3 times in the last 6 weeks. Again, I only throw it in when it's like been a light load. If he doesn't already have another writing assignment from The Good and the Beautiful, I throw it in when I think he just needs a little bit extra in a day. One thing I didn't talk about in his last video, but he has been working through since last year, and I totally forgot about, was his Mrs. Wordsmith Humongous workbook. So this is also grammar based, which he doesn't really need, but just like his summer bridge, he's doing it, once or twice a week in the morning. It's just a quick worksheet review of different parts of speech. And I kind of like it because Michael Clay Thompson focuses on just the 8 parts of speech. This one expands into other parts of speech that isn't covered in Michael Clay Thompson. So it's just a fun, easy way to review more aspects of the English language. Last thing I want to talk about in English is the read aloud. So like I said, we finished read alouds in history recently, but we haven't started any specific reading read alouds that have to do with, just the literature. They're not like a teaching, not teaching a certain topic or whatever. Usually with these, I like to give the kids an option to choose. Last year we worked through Percy Jackson. We worked through the first book in that series and then probably half of the second book, but they were just, after the first book, which they really loved, they kind of just lost interest. And I'm never one to push, hey, let's finish this if it's something that they're not really asking for anyways. If they forget about it and they don't care to know what's happening or what will happen, then I usually just move into something else until we find one that fits. And right now his ask is that he wants to start the Harry Potter series. He's my fantasy junkie, just like my husband. A little cute, well, to me it's cute, but some cute information that's not related to homeschooling is me and my husband's first date was the very first Harry Potter movie on opening day. And so throughout our relationship, every time a new Harry Potter was released, we always went opening day, like even most of the time at midnight, to see the movie. So it was kind of like our thing. So Harry Potter holds a special place in my heart. I don't really love like the whole wizarding aspect as much for my kids anymore, but I'm looking at the Rabbit Trails study guide for it, and I love how she brings in some Christian worldview. And so I think we'll be working through that. It worked out really well when we did Lion, Witch, and Wardrobe. We used her Rabbit Trail study too, and we all had a blast with that book. Let's see. I think that's it. I think that is everything, and I can't reiterate enough how well things are going. And I thank you so much for listening to me ramble about all of this right now. And yeah, it's just going really great. I hope that you can always take some information from me and hopefully impart it into your day of homeschool. If you ever have any questions or comments, please leave them below, and I'd love to interact with you. And I hope that you're having a wonderful, I can't talk, apparently. I hope you're having a wonderful Friday and that your weekend will be really, really blessed. And yeah, talk to you next time.